Hello. For today's video, I'm going to do two different topics. Of course, like I always do, I'm going to start off with my weekly weigh-in, which I had this morning, and then I'm going to share a recipe. I had hoped to do a cook with me video for this recipe, but as things turned out, it's going to be more like a slideshow. But I do think it will be represented well, so if you'll stick around, you'll see a recipe that I've been wanting to share for a couple of weeks. Now, let's get on to my weekly weigh-in. Last Thursday, which was Thanksgiving morning, I did get up and weigh. I wasn't able to do the video till Friday, but on Thursday morning, I weighed 122.6. Now, that was okay, but I was beginning to notice a trend because the last 2 weeks, which included last Thursday and the Thursday before, I had gained 0.8 pounds each of those weeks. So I really didn't, that was the wrong way. I wasn't wanting to go that way down the road. And so I really wanted to do well for Thanksgiving. Well, did I? I started off with a bang. I did exactly what I had planned to do. I didn't overeat. But by the end of the day, I ran off the rails and ate all of my dailies. And I ate not only all of my dailies, but all of my weeklies too. Now, I had planned to eat some of my weeklies, but not all of them. But I did. And I didn't stop there. I had a pretty heavy laden Friday also, where I was going into minus toward weeklies, but that's okay. I had planned to have at least lunch on Thanksgiving and eat pretty much what I wanted to. I tried to build up enough points during the week that I can do that. Well, I was a little concerned because I had not lost any in the previous 2 weeks. So I knew it was not going to be good when I got on the scale Monday. Well, luckily, and don't ask me how this happened, because I don't know. When I got on the scale Monday, I had only gained 1 pound. I was prepared for a 4-pound gain. That's how bad I had done over the weekend. It wasn't just with Thanksgiving foods and desserts. I had got into potato chips again a couple of times and binged on them. So I don't understand why I was only up 1 pound on Monday. I got a little concerned after so little of a gain that I would really mess it up for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I didn't. I did okay. I did much better than I had expected, because when I got on the scale this morning, I weighed 122 pounds even. That means from Monday, I had lost 1.5 pounds, and from last Thursday, I was down 0.6 of a pound. So for that to include Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving, I am very happy to say that I lost some weight. I don't think I've done that in the last few years, so that was a bonus for me. Now, everybody, please keep me in your thoughts, because with me losing weight during the week of Thanksgiving, I might overdo it this weekend, and I might have a real uphill battle next week. Okay, let's go on with the rest of the video, the recipe part. You know, about a month ago, I published a short on YouTube, and it talked about the foods that I had eaten to help me lose weight all these years, and a picture of this soup was basically the thumbnail for the short. And I had a couple of comments asking me to share the recipe. I told them that I would in a few weeks, And so that's what I'm going to do today. You see, the ham and potato soup that I make, I basically only make it after I bake a ham. And because Papa and I live by ourselves, I don't bake a large ham very often. We do eat ham steak, but that just doesn't taste the same as a baked ham. So for Thanksgiving, I baked about an 8.5 pound ham. It was a ham butt, and those are a lot tastier. They have a little bit more points to them, but it's worth it to me. So I baked it, and I was all prepared this past Monday to make the soup. I was going to video it. That sort of fell through. So what I decided to do was to take pictures. And hopefully the pictures will work out to be sort of like a slideshow. If for some reason I don't explain it very well, please leave me a comment below and ask whatever question that I really didn't explain. But I will have this complete recipe down in my description. So whatever I don't make very clear, hopefully will be clear in the description. Let's get started with the ingredients to my ham and potato soup. First of all, I use about 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Now, you might want to use more than 1 teaspoon, but I prepare this in a non-stick Dutch oven, 5-quart Dutch oven. And so I don't need much olive oil. I need just enough to coat the bottom of the pan, just a little. But you're more than welcome to add more olive oil than 1 teaspoon. But be aware, it could affect the amount of points that it would end up being. By the way, the points for this is it makes up about 7 servings, 7 1-cup servings, and I put it in the recipe builder in the Weight Watchers app, and it came up to be 6 Weight Watcher points. I'm still trying to get used to the new point name, you know, that it's not personal points anymore. So right now I'm just calling it Weight Watcher points. But that's what it comes up to. I have not figured the calorie count for it, but I will put it down in the description box also. That's something that I can do after I get through videoing. Anyway, I start off with 1 teaspoon of olive oil, 1 relatively small yellow onion, and it needs to be finely chopped, a cup of carrots that have been diced, once again finely. And for this recipe, I didn't even think I had any carrots. I thought I was going to have to use canned carrots, but at the last minute I remembered that I did have some carrots in my refrigerator, so I found them. It's probably not when I made this, it was probably not a whole cup of carrots, but I did have fresh carrots to be able to put in it. I'm going to put pictures, like I said, of up in the corners and every place. May take up my whole face. While I'm editing this, I'll put up pictures. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, the next ingredient is optional. I do not add it, and it's a 1/2 cup of celery. Papa does not like celery, so I don't put it in there because it's just basically going to be me and Papa eating it. So that would be pretty wasteful for me to make a dish that he's not going to eat. We don't use it, but I will tell you when it goes in. The next ingredient is 2 cups of peeled and diced potatoes. Now, I use russet potatoes you use for baking, baked potatoes, and that's what kind I use. I scrub them good, I peel them, and then I dice them. The next ingredient is at least 1.5 cups of diced ham. And whatever we have left over from the baked ham, I could put all of it in there if I wanted to. This year, after we had finished Thanksgiving lunch and divvied up all of what everybody wanted to take home, we still had about 4 cups of ham left. And so I got half of it, and Papa was about to go out of town with his work, and so he got the other half. I had probably close to 2 cups worth, but I used about 1.5 cups, and you'll see that in the pictures too. The next ingredients is 3 heaping teaspoons of garlic, or 3 small cloves. I buy a jarred garlic. You'll see it in the pictures also. It's a lot better than using minced garlic or dried garlic or anything like that. So I use 3 teaspoons of that, and it's equivalent to 3 small cloves of garlic. And if you're doing garlic, you mince it up real good. Okay, the next ingredient is 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Now you can use self-rising flour. I have in the past, but I usually have all-purpose on hand, and that's what I use this time. The next ingredient is 2 cups of low-sodium chicken stock. Well, instead of using that, what I do, I really like Weiler's chicken bouillon powder. So I make up my own stock, basically. I put 3 heaping teaspoons of Weiler's chicken bouillon powder with 2 cups of very hot water. I don't boil the water, but it's close to being boiling. And I mix that together, and I pretty much have made my own chicken stock. And the reason I do that is it's 0 points. And regular chicken stock does have some fat in it, or usually does, so that would have points. The Weiler's has no points. The next ingredient is 2 cups of 2% milk. Now you can use full whole milk, but I don't. I want to save points. I mean, 2% has less points than whole milk, so I use 2%. And I can't remember if I said this or not, so I'll say it in here. If you have a serving of this, which is a cup, it's 6 Weight Watcher points. I'm pretty sure I've already said that, but it never hurts to say it again. Now, I did not do this. The next ingredients I did not use when I made this Monday night. You can use 2 small cans of your choice of canned vegetables. The canned vegetables that I have used in the past is a small can of whole kernel corn. It has no points. Or a small can of the young green peas. Now they do have points, but it's only 2 for the whole small can, and when you add it to the soup, it does not affect the overall points. I'll explain when that is to be added to. It's at the end because these are canned goods. They're not frozen or fresh. And the last ingredients are salt and pepper. Now I put a teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Now if you like more salt than that in your soup or pepper in your soup, feel free to do it to your taste buds. Now, that's the ingredients. Let's get on to how to put it all together and make the ham and potato soup. Now, I know it's going to be several little instructions and stuff like that, but if you'll get everything diced up beforehand and get the milk out, chicken stock or the chicken bouillon already made up, it really doesn't take that long to do it. The longest thing that it takes is preparing the vegetables and the milk and the ham and all that kind of stuff. But it's really, everything falls together pretty quickly. Like I said earlier, I use a 5-quart non-stick Dutch oven. I set my stove to medium heat, which I have numbers on mine, and so I do it at about 6. somewhere between 5 and 6. And I coat the bottom of that Dutch oven with a teaspoon of olive oil. Once again, you can use more if you want to, but it may affect the points. And after that's warmed just a little bit, I add the onions and the carrots. And this is where, if I was going to put the celery in, this is where I would put the celery in. And you saute them for about 4 minutes until they have enough time to soften. Now, after you saute those, you add the ham and the potatoes. And just let these pretty much be getting warm because you cook them for about 2 minutes. Then you add the garlic. And you only cook it long enough to where you start smelling the effects of the garlic, which is about 30 seconds to a minute. You'll begin to get the fragrance of it. And when that happens, you mix in the all-purpose flour. Now, I basically try to coat everything that's in that Dutch oven with the flour, but it's just 1/4 of a cup, so it's not going to have anything like a breading to it or anything like that. But you do sort of want it coated well, and it will help everything thicken later when we get to that stage. Cook all that up for another 2 minutes. Now you add the mixed hot water and the Weiler's bouillon together. If you haven't already done it, do it now. And then add that to the mixture of ham and vegetables that you have. Raise the heat on the stove to about medium high, I guess. Don't do it all the way up. Medium high is fine. And you want to bring the mixture to a boil. And the reason you want to do that is you want to make sure that the potatoes are done. If you don't cook those potatoes for at least 10 to 15 minutes, they will be way too crunchy to be able to eat with that soup. So that's the main reason you're doing it. You're trying to get the potatoes to be fork tender. And so it's your judge between the 10 to 15 minutes. I normally will cook it for about 15 minutes. I don't like a rolling boil, but I do want it to be boiling. So after you do that, you can reduce the heat back to about medium, maybe even medium low heat by this point, which would be around a 3 or 4 on my stove. And I add the milk. Now this is also the time that if I was going to add the small cans of vegetables like the early peas and the whole kernel corn, this is when I would add it. Because basically all that's going to happen now is the soup is going to develop, and the milk is going to thicken into soup. And I also add the salt and pepper at this time. 1 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. You may want more. So once everything is incorporated and you're about to eat it, that's when you can add whatever other seasoning like salt and pepper that you would like to add. Papa likes a lot more salt than I do. So I always say, well, just wait and let it get prepared and then you can salt it. Because I don't want it salty. But anyway, when you put the milk on, you cook it for about 5 minutes. It will thicken and become soup-like. And it makes approximately 7 cups. I really recommend serving it hot. It might be a good cold soup, but I'm not going to eat it like that. I mean, I want my soup hot. I know a lot of people used to eat cold potato soup, but I've never been a big cold potato soup person. So I serve it as soon as it's ready. And sometimes Papa and I will eat saltine crackers with it. And if you do, 5 saltine crackers are 2 points. So you have to allow for that. Some people love cornbread with soup. I love it, but I don't eat it anymore with it. You can cover it and put it in the refrigerator for at least 3 or 4 days. And the reason I say that is I prepared this Monday and I ate it for lunch today. So today's Thursday. 3 days later, it was great. Just as good as it was Monday night. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I would hope you would consider subscribing and press that notification bell so that you could get all my videos. And if you know anybody that would like to know this recipe and might benefit from it, please share. Until next time, goodbye.